All right, here we are with the 2020 Big Rig Part 2. This is Part 2 of the Big Rig. We did some basic stuff first. Now we're gonna hook up all of the electronics, and it's kind of a big project. What I like to do is to get all the wires run outside of the boat. Let's take a look at it. Let's hook it all up. Let's make sure it all works, make sure all the transducers work, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll go back and run all the wires, get everything mounted. We've got some batteries to put in. We got some other things going on, but this is a big portion of rigging the boat. As you can see right here, got the Ghost trolling motor, and I got my live sight transducer and my hydrowave speaker right here. Got all the wires coming up there. Here's the foot pedal. As you can see, all kind of wires, all these NEMA wires coming up here. And then I'm gonna lay out everything going back. We got where the big 16 goes right here. And then we've got, I've just kind of run the wires to where my 3-in-1 transducer is. My through hole is coming up here. I've already got the power wire run down there, and got my 0.1 transducer back here. There's another 0.1 in the front that works with the Ghost and gets you like dead on precisely exactly where you want to be. That 0.1 is super slick because it works with the Ghost and the anchor positioning deal up there. We're gonna get all that rigged. I'm gonna lay this all out, and then I'm gonna walk you through how the Ethernet looks, how the NEMA wires look, and how they all talk to each other, and try to hopefully try to explain how that works to you. Because if you can understand that, then you can possibly fix a lot of issues on the water that you may have with any of your electronics. So we're gonna walk you through all of that, and we'll see what happens. So it's gonna be a process. Next step coming up. Okay, I've run all the wires here on the Bass Cat with the Lowrance electronics. We've got everything exposed. I like to do that when I start, as I mentioned earlier. But as you can see, look at this just glob of wires. This is just the front. This is just the front. This is the NEMA deal up here on the front, and then as you can see, it goes towards the back, and we've got the NEMA for the back, the 16 unit Sonic hub over there. And then as we come back here, you can see this will be mounted up under the boat. This is the 3-in-1 transducer, but we've got it all hooked up. We got the NEMA wire coming back here to the 0.1 on the back, and then we've got the Sirius satellite that goes into the Sonic hub. So we got everything connected, all powered up. Now we're gonna test it, turn on all the units, connect everything, and make sure it all works. Make sure we're good to go before we start tucking in wires, because as you can see, it is a whole lot easier to troubleshoot when everything's exposed like this. It's easier to understand what's what, and then once we get it all hooked up and test it, then we can start tucking it away. Okay, everything is hooked up, everything looks to be good, but I left out one important part. The beast of all beasts of lithium pros, 36 volt, 65 amps per bank. That's 3 12 volt, 65 amp hour batteries in one right here. So you can it's one-stop shopping for all your trolling motor power that you'd ever need. I'm gonna drop this bad boy in there so we can hook that Ghost up, and then make sure everything is truly connected. Everything initially is connected, but I wanna make sure that trolling motor is. So I'm gonna drop this bad boy in the back of the Bass Cat right back there. Drop that big old dude back in there, and then we're gonna make sure everything is hooked up before we start running wires. Okay, I got that horse of a trolling motor battery that you see in the back there. Got that all hooked up, so now the Ghost is in session. So I'm gonna take you around here to my screen and let you see. I was at Smith Mountain Lake there last, but I'm gonna let you see exactly what you need to look at. You wanna go to the Pages button, And then you're gonna hit this over here, settings. You're gonna scroll down to network. And then once you do network, you're gonna go over here to data sources. Nope, excuse me. Device list. You're gonna go over here to device list, and then you can see everything listed here. Ghost trolling motor, each of the lives, 12s up front. Then you can see the 16, both channels, and you can see the 0.1 in the back there. That is all what you want. So we got it all hooked up, and it looks like it is hooked up correctly. So I'm just gonna run through and check out a few menus, make sure everything is good to go. Then we're gonna start running these wires. But as you can see, it is a disaster of a wire deal. So my whole thing is, you know, I'm gonna be pulling them back through these holes and you know, up under the console and everything, one wire at a time. That's my rule. I'll pull out unplug one wire, I'll run it and plug it back in. Find another wire, unplug it, plug it back in, go to the next one. That way I'm not gonna unplug everything, run all the wires, and then try to plug everything back up. I don't like to try to identify wires. I don't want to mark one red and blue. Man, screw that. I've done that before. Been there and done that. Just do it one at a time. It might take a little bit longer, but I guarantee you'll reconnect it correctly with this out here. But I'm gonna step out of the boat, and I'm gonna show you a few things about the NEMA before we get it all hidden away. Okay, before I put everything away, I wanted to kind of give you a quick walkthrough on the Ethernet and the NEMA. Now this is the NEMA, and what it does is it connects all the devices, you know, such as the 0.1 antenna back here. It connects each of the 3 units, the 212s and the 16. It connects everything involved, and it is a powered system. This is the NEMA is something that many different depth finder companies use, and it's powered, so you have to make sure you have one of the connections here going to the power. I've got the Sonic hub connected up to it as well, and now the Ghost is going to be connected to that as well. And it can, what it does is that NEMA system transmits any type of signal that it wants to, you know, depth finder, like I said, the GPS antenna, which is what the 0.1 is, and you know, the signal from the transducer in the front, that's going through the NEMA system with the Ghost, and then going to all of your units. And it makes it to where no matter what transducer you're looking at, you can see it on any of the units. You can select what you want to look at. The Ethernet cables, which is what these yellow ones are right here, those connect to all the units as well and help transmit the internal Lowrance information. So that's just kind of the basis. Here's the NEMA connections for the front. And one more tip on the NEMA. The NEMAs have to have an end on a cap, which is a little capacitor, kind of a little ending deal on each end of the system, or it will not read correctly. See, that's one end, and this is the other end. So everything else is connected in between those two ends, so that the information can flow freely. If one of those is left open and it does not have that on there, it's gonna have problems, and everything's not gonna read and transmit back and forth like it's supposed to. So that's just a little tip on the NEMA. I'm not the authority on the NEMA. I don't know, and the Ethernet. All I know is I can hook it up, and I know if I hook it up correctly, I can see everything, and that's pretty much what I've done here. So now I gotta hide all of that garbage, make it look nice and tidy, nice and neat, be easy to access. With Bass Cat, pretty awesome. They have one of these big holes right up here in the front. It's got a cap over it. Plus you've got the ability to get in behind here, you know, behind that little plate, So there's a lot of easy access points on the Bass Cat, and everything's kind of easy to get to overall. So he's going to run all these wires. This will take a little bit. It's going to take a little bit, but I'm going to get them all run, and then I'll show you what it looks like after we get them all hooked up. Okay, so I've got everything run on the front end of the boat, all the wires, everything hooked back up. The only thing I've got to do is mount my ram mount here. As you can see, that's what I'm going to put my second Lowrance 12, but I've got this unit solid as a rock. Everything is neat and tucked in there. Got the 0.1 all mounted on there. All the wires run. Everything is good to go. As you can see, I've got my live sight and my hydro wave on there ready to rock, and I've got my wires all nice and tidy. So everything on the front end, including the trolling motor pedal, that ghost foot pedal, is all put in. That's a good stopping point for today, where I'm gonna come back another day and keep chipping away at this thing. I've got to work on the back end. As you can see, the front end nice and tidy, almost done. And then back here on the back end, I've got all these wires. I've got to mount this transducer on the bottom on that step piece down there, and I've got to put my antennas back here. I've got my holes marked already, so I'll be ready to do that here on the next step. So stay tuned. We're going to get everything get finished up here on the electronics portion. Got the front all done. My second unit, you can push it down when you're running. Come up to the front, flip it up, it's ready to go. So you're able to rock and roll. From the front, now we are up under the boat. As you can see, we are up under the boat here, and we're gonna mount the 3-in-1 transducer. On the Bass Cat, they've got this little step portion that you can see. Got the 3-in-1, the step portion just right there for mounting that bad boy flush mount, nice and clean. As you can see, it'll be just right there. So I got to mark the holes up under here, drill this, and then we can kind of start running the wires that way. Okay, so I got the transducer all mounted. I'll show you. Nice and clean. You want to make sure you put a bunch of silicone in these holes, even though they're tiny. Put as much as you can in there before you drill it in there and get it all straight. And as you can see, climb out from under there, and that's nice and clean. There she is. Okay, now I got the wires all tidied up. It comes up through here. Had to feed it down through that hole there. That was kind of a bugger, but that's what you got to do when you rig your boat out. Now I'm gonna mount my antennas right here, get that done, and we'll see what happens next. Hopefully that'll go pretty quick. All right, so we're in the middle of fishing all these wires up through there, and you can look down in here and see it's just wire central. So getting the wire so we're halfway with these wires going backwards. We just fished the transducer wires all the way up, and now they're went ahead and did those together because I know which one is switched there. So got those ones on the way up. It is not an easy job. We've got this fancy fiberglass deal, and they bolt together. We just got those at the hardware store. They go together, so you can string them along however long you need, and they go right in there pretty darn slick. So a little bit more rigging on this, and then we'll be able to like batten it all down. Nice. All right, so we got all the wires run through here. Mark helped me out, had that little deal worked out nice. But so we got all the wires run up. We got the antennas mounted. Everything looks good back there. Everything's tidied up back there. Got the battery secured in there. Came all the way up here, and I kind of tentatively got everything, hooked up here. Got the depth finder secured in here. I've still got a few more things. I've still got the Sonic Hub and the speakers to install. I've got some lights to install. I've got a few other things coming, but the big rig part 2 is the conclusion of part 2. I'm gonna go out here and do boat testing number 2, make sure everything is hooked up properly again, and then you're gonna stay tuned for boat rig part 3. We'll get all the little stuff dialed in, and then we'll be ready to go for this upcoming 2020 season.